From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
The first award is named for our benefactor, David M Rubenstein. The Rubenstein Prize of $150,000 goes to Reach Out and Read of Boston. Reach Out and Read is being recognized for a groundbreaking and sustained record of achievement in literacy by individuals or any entity worldwide. Reach Out and Read encourages early childhood literacy by capitalizing on the relationship between parents and their children's pediatricians. By integrating basic literacy awareness into regular office visits, children are exposed to books and reading at the earliest age, well before they start school. Free books are distributed during the visit as well. Reach Out and Read achieves sustainability because it has integrated literacy education into a widely practiced experience, the Well Baby Visit. Here to accept the award are Anne Marie Fitzgerald, Executive Director of Reach Out and Read, and Dr. Perri Klass, the National Medical Director of Reach Out and Read. Let's give them a round of applause. Perri Klass is going to give the presentation on behalf of Reach Out and Read. Dr. Perri Klass.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor for us to be here. It's such an honor to receive this award. I want to thank Dr. Billington, the Librarian of Congress. I want to thank David Rubenstein. I want to thank John Cole. I want to thank the National Advisory Board of the Library of Congress Literacy Awards and acknowledge the wonderful company in which we find ourselves with these other programs today and with this audience. Now, you may have noticed that I brought up onto the podium a stethoscope and a small board book suitable for presenting to a 6-month-old child. These two objects in my hands are what I carry into the exam room when I'm doing a checkup on a baby, a well baby visit, everyday pediatric visit. And I'm here to tell you about the program that helps me and other primary care providers, other doctors like me, more than 12,000 of us in every state and the District of Columbia, gives us the training and the books so that we can walk into the exam room, put those books in the hands of children, and talk to their parents about how to read them with a 6-month-old, a 9-month-old, a 1-year-old, an 18-month-old, how to read them together, enjoy them together, and use those books to help their children learn. So really, I'm here to accept the award on behalf of those thousands of doctors and nurses around this country. Let me tell you about the Reach Out and Read program, which started 25 years ago by doctors working with families at risk, the kind of families that David Baldacci was just talking about, the children who are getting WIC and SNAP and profiting from being able to go to Head Start, the children who are at risk. And it's a program that's been grounded from the very beginning in the realities of my working world, the world of those clinics. It's a simple, very straightforward intervention grounded in that medical context. That's the innovation I'm here to tell you about, because my world, that clinical world, touches children so often in those essential early years of life. So this is the model, which was developed by my friend, Dr. Robert Needleman, a developmental behavioral pediatrician now at Case Western. It has 3 components. It starts in the waiting rooms, and we make them literacy-rich environments, and we have readers modeling what it is to read to young children during that waiting time, which we all love so dearly, the time you spend in waiting rooms with young children. In the exam room, we have the medical provider encouraging parents, giving advice about how to read aloud with young children, with a baby, with a preschooler, and we give a beautiful, new, developmentally appropriate book at every visit from 6 months to 5 years. So that's why I have this book here. It represents the book we give at 6 months to get things going.
Do you see this book? Oh, yeah. And babies at this age love faces. They love to look at baby faces. Yeah. And it's such a nice age because they can sit up. He sits up so well. And sitting on the lap is a perfect way to look at books. We give out books starting at 6 months through 5 years of age at well visits to promote lifelong love of reading. And it's a program called Reach Out and Read. And so this will be Larry's first book, but not his last book. Right. And he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do with the book. That's what's so wonderful about board books, is they're very sturdy. Right. They hold up really well, even to the teething baby. Look how excited he is about books. I mean, his arms out, he's smiling, he's interested, he's looking at the faces. I mean, it's just wonderful. So, have you been reading with him?
Yes, I sit down and read with him. He eats the books, and I see that he sits for a little while, and then he cries, and I have to play something else. But I do sit with him and try to read as much as I can.
Good. And pointing at pictures.
Yes,
and pointing
I
at
say
things.
the face, the eyes, nose.
Oh, wonderful.
Mouth,
that's really wonderful. At this age, they really recognize faces and baby faces, and not necessarily, and they know about expressions. They're learning about expressions. So that's what baby faces are so neat. Eventually, he'll start turning the pages himself, so making the page available for him to turn.
Okay.
Look, he's trying to turn the pages.
My question, how can I introduce him to more books, to get him more interested into books? Because it seems like he just I know he's a baby, but he just wants eat the books, like I said,
right,
and he starts to cry. So
well, let me reassure you, that response is completely normal, and he will. The length of time that you're able to spend with a book will be longer as he gets a little bit older.
So when you see that encounter, I want you to imagine that mother and that baby have already spent a little time in that waiting room where we have volunteers who read aloud. And, some of our clinics are busy, things can get a little backed up, but there were posters, there were displays about literacy, displays about the library. Sometimes we have the local library come into my clinic and actually give people library cards and publicize story hours. There were gently used books available for the parents and the children, and there was a volunteer reading aloud, and she was modeling the different voices. The squeaky voice, the deep voice. He was showing everyone that it's interactive, that children of different ages can listen to the same book, that they jump up and down, that they participate, and above all, communicating to every parent in that waiting room that during waiting time, books are distraction, they're entertainment, they're fun. They make the time work in a different way. And a parent who maybe hasn't been read to can see how this works. And then, of course, from my point of view, maybe by the time you finally get back into the exam room with the doctor, you're not quite as irritated. This is my clinic at Bellevue, the oldest public hospital in America. We have these blue mats out in the waiting room, which the Spanish-speaking parents call the escuelitas, the little schools. And you can see the kids come out of the elevator in our floor at Bellevue, and they just go right for the blue mats. A lot of what I do is talk to doctors, work with training doctors and nurses about this anticipatory guidance, this advice for parents. What I showed you was a piece of one of our training videotapes, and I think you could already see in that videotape how much opportunity there was to meet the mother where she was, to reinforce what she was already doing, and to help her build on that, to encourage her with her own impulse to hold and encourage and read and talk to her child, and get across that message that reading and talking matter even before a child can talk, because the brain is learning language. And maybe most important of all, your baby will love books because your baby loves you. It's the connection to your voice, FaceTime with you, time on your lap. That's what makes the link for a very young baby, for a toddler, to whom a parent's attention and a parent's voice are the most important things in the world. And of course, that this should be fun. Having the books in the exam room, I have to say, is also fun for the doctor. The other thing we can do in that developmental guidance is we can help parents understand what children of different ages do, because again, we work with lots of parents who weren't read to themselves, to whom it may not look familiar giving that book to the 6-month-old to chew on. So yes, 6-month-old babies put books in their mouths. That's fine. That's how babies explore the world. That's why it's a board book. That's why the corners are rounded. 12-month-olds point with one finger when they're interested. That's a huge step. It's a step in cognition. It's a step in coordination to be able to point. It's a step in communication. We should celebrate it. Yes, 2-year-olds don't necessarily sit still for the whole book. That's fine. That's normal. We don't medicate that. That's good. But there are ways to enjoy that book with the 2-year-old, with the 6-month-old, and this is what we do in the exam room. Up to, say, the preschooler, who can do much more than just point and name things on the page, who can answer more complicated questions. And so after the literacy-rich waiting room, together with the advice, there's the book, a beautiful, new, developmentally appropriate book at every checkup from 6 months to 5 years. So 10 books in the home at least by kindergarten, and we introduce them early in the visit, and we use them to talk about the business of the visit. So you saw the pointing and naming baby face book. We use beloved classic books. But, for example, do you have any idea how much time pediatricians spend talking about bedtime and sleep problems, and how to get small children into bed, into their own beds, to stay in their own beds, what to do when they don't? It's one of the most common issues in any well-child visit with a toddler. Use the book. Use the book to talk about bedtime routines. Suggest reading the book at the same time, turning off the television, making a safe place. Use the book to help parents solve the problems that we talk about at every visit. We talk about bedtime routines and sleep. We talk about speech and development. We talk about family meal times. We talk about screen time. Use the book for all of that. It's not an extra. It's part of the texture of life with young children. And that's what we want people to understand. And that's our model, that's our intervention, but obviously for it to work, it has to go on reverberating and resonating in the home. So I should point out that if we do it right, we are asking parents to read with their children, and as you just heard in that wonderful speech, that suggests that parents have reading skills, and when parents need help with their reading skills, our programs need to partner with family literacy and adult literacy so that parents can get the help that they need to do this thing that we've told them is so important, and we need to help them keep on enjoying books while they're learning. We want books incorporated into home routines. That means there have to be routines. You can't have a bedtime ritual in a home without a bedtime and without rituals. And that parents will become involved in supporting and believing in their own ability to support school readiness and education because they have been reinforced in the role that they can play in their children's learning. Now, this is very good advice, and as you probably know from your own experience, doctors give a lot of very good advice, and I'm sure that every time you've been given a piece of very good advice by your doctor, it changed your life from that day forth. We actually need to look at the question of whether it helps, whether people change their behaviors when we do this, whether we have an impact. We have 14 studies, all now published in the peer-reviewed medical literature, looking at Reach Out and Read, and I just want to tell you that we have a compelling evidence base, that if we do this literacy promotion in primary care, we see important changes. We see changes in parent attitudes. That is to say, if you ask parents, what's your favorite thing to do with your child or your child's favorite activity? Families that have participated in Reach Out and Read, parents much more likely to name books and reading as a favorite activity. Beyond that, we see changes in parenting and parent behavior. The yellow block shows you the intervention, the Reach Out and Read group. The red block shows you the control. This is a study done in Providence, Rhode Island by Golova and High. They had 200 low-income families, randomized them. 100 got the Reach Out and Read intervention, 100 got regular primary care. After more than a year after the study had started, they looked to see which parents were reading 3 or more times a week to their children. 66% of the parents getting the intervention from their doctors were reading 3 or more days a week to their children. Only 24% of the otherwise similar parents in the control group. And even more than parental attitudes and parenting behaviors, we have evidence that it changes the children's language skills. This is a study, again, from the medical literature, from the journal Pediatrics by my colleagues at Bellevue, Mendelsohn, Mogilner, and Dreyer. They looked at language age, at receptive language, the words a child understands, and expressive language, the words a child can say. And this is in the preschool years. The children who had been exposed to Reach Out and Read were 6 months ahead in their receptive language and 3 months ahead in their expressive language. So we're talking 6 months ahead in children who are only 3 years old. It's a huge difference in vocabulary skills, and we know that vocabulary skills are a key component in school readiness and school success. As I say, this program started as a single program in a single hospital 25 years ago, and it's grown tremendously over the past 25 years, as I'm about to tell you. It's been a public-private partnership from the beginning, both at the national level and at the regional and state levels. It's grown because the doctors and nurse practitioners who do this work get it and want to participate in it. It's grown also because we've had tremendous partners at every level. We now serve 4 million children every year. We are in more than 5,000 of those clinic sites, those hospitals, those public health centers, those private practices, those federally qualified health centers that serve that at-risk population to serve those 4 million children. We have more than 12,000 trained doctors and nurses delivering the program in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. And together, those more than 12,000 doctors and nurses are giving more than 6.5 million books every year to those children, each one accompanied with that advice to the families. As I say, we have been blessed from the beginning with truly broad bipartisan support from Senator Ted Kennedy, one of the champions right at the beginning of the program, to First Lady Hillary Clinton, who drew together a wide-ranging group to develop the Prescription for Reading Initiative, to Laura Bush, who had played a key role in the statewide growth of Reach Out and Read when she was First Lady of Texas and then took it on as First Lady of the United States as one of her key initiatives, to our current wonderful legislative champions, including Congressman Jim McGovern from Massachusetts, Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa. We have been so fortunate in our champions, and they've helped us take the program in a number of remarkable directions. We've worked extensively with military families, working within the military pediatric system, offering special guidance for how families which are faced with deployment or displacement can use books to establish comforting routines and build bonds between parents and children. It's been, I have to say, especially inspiring for me working with the military pediatricians. Leyendo Juntos, an initiative we have to provide better books and literacy guidance to Spanish-speaking families, another for American, Indian, Alaska Native families through the American Academy of Pediatrics, and another working with children with disabilities. We've also done work with medical groups overseas with international programs. We were honored with the UNESCO Confucius Prize for Literacy in 2006. I just met with an amazing group of doctors from the Philippines who are making the program work there. To do this, to grow like this and to spread like this, we've had to take advantage of the medical infrastructure, that infrastructure which already exists. That's what has allowed us to do this. We are a universal platform. We are already reaching almost all of those children. That's what makes it low cost. The doctors are there, the nurses are there, the health centers are there, the forms that you have to get those doctors to fill out to show that you've had your checkup and been immunized and gotten your lead test, that's already there. We're already talking about bedtime and mealtime and language and health and development. We already build those ongoing relationships with families during a child's first year of life. If you've had a child recently, you know there's a visit at 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12. This is the immunization schedule. It's engraved on my heart. We see families again and again. And from the very beginning, we have worked within the medical system. We're endorsed by the American Academy of Pediatrics. The training that we provide to all of our providers is approved for the continuing medical education credits that we're all required to do to keep certified. We have a quality improvement project that qualifies for the required maintenance of certification that I have to do every 7 years to stay a pediatrician. I can work within that system and work on Reach Out and Read. And so yes, I said we grew partly because of the idealism and dedication of the medical providers, but it's also been very important to make it possible for that idealism and that dedication to be recognized within the context of our own profession, that it's understood, that it's accredited, that it's endorsed, and that it's something we can do for our patients and also works for us professionally. That's another reason why the research matters so much. The peer-reviewed medical research. We like to think we're an evidence-based profession. We like to think we're related to science. So to argue for best practices with that kind of research base is really important within medicine. Early literacy is an evidence-based best practice. As you've heard, and I won't repeat it again, you know that early reading matters a great deal, that early language and literacy skills which relate to kindergarten readiness are critical for that all-important third grade reading proficiency, which predicts so much in terms of graduation from school and later success in life. In pediatrics today, we're very focused on the early brain and how it develops. We know that children's language evolves through interactions, which we call serve and return, the contingent response of adults. It's why they don't learn from screens as well when they're, or at all when they're very young. They need that serve and return response. We know that those responses actually shape the early neuronal architecture of the brain, and that parents, by talking and reading with their children, build connections which you carry forward into life in your brain, and that we can see differences even before the first year of life. And we know that the kind of children who we've been worrying about, children growing up at risk, that there are stresses on families, prolonged toxic stress, we're now calling it, and that the best protection against that for children is the supportive adult relationships. So reading is all of those things. It's an occasion for language and serve and respond and learning how to name the world, and it's also a vehicle for that loving, supportive adult relationship, which matters so much. So I showed you the first Reach Out and Read visit at 6 months old. Here's the 5-year-old visit.
Hey guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
How old are you?
Good. 5.
Are you 5? How many is 5? Show me 5 fingers.
No. I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11.
11 fingers?
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Perfect.
How many do you have?
Oh, I have the same number. I've got 10 too.
You got the
5
same
on each
number?
hand. Are you in school?
Yes.
Are you? What grade are you in?
I know.
Are you in preschool?
Pre-K.
Pre-K. And what do you like to do in pre-K?
Not in the big building, on the small building.
Okay. And what's your favorite stuff? What do you like to do in pre-K?
I like race cars.
Race cars?
They have race cars in the school.
Uh-huh.
He loves race cars. So he has books.
Do you have books about race cars?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any books at school?
I have a lot of books.
You do? At home or at school?
At home and in school.
Do you have any of these books?
What about the
I have this.
You do? Two
Yeah,
Loud
only
Lily.
that. Only that.
All right. And do you have this one?
No.
And what do you think this book's about?
the cookie.
About cookies. How did you know that? So let's see if you can find all the letters in your name right here.
Okay.
Y-O-U-C-E-F.
Oh, you're so clever. All right. Okay.
So I think you can see here that there's a child who understands that books are sources of pleasure and information. If you love race cars, there are books about race cars that will tell you everything. He understands what print is. If I played you the whole clip, you'd hear him say, I can't read. But he's getting ready. He knows the letters. He's the kid you want in your kindergarten class or your first grade class. And he's ready to take on the job of decoding print. So I want to thank you once again. For the past 20 plus years, I've had the privilege of going around the country and helping clinics and hospitals establish Reach Out and Read programs and talking with doctors and nurses and parents and children. So to stand here in this building where the written word is so honored and cherished, I want to thank you on behalf of the Reach Out and Read medical leadership, the doctors who have polished and cherished this model, done the research, developed the training. I thank you on behalf of the incredibly dedicated Reach Out and Read National Center staff, on behalf of the 12,000 plus doctors and nurses who go into exam room after exam room with the stethoscope and the book, and most of all, on behalf of the 4 million children and their families who will be touched by Reach Out and Read this year in all of our different programs. When you stand in the waiting room in my clinic at Bellevue, the oldest public hospital in America, I said you see the kids coming out of the elevator, running for the blue mats. You see them going back after their visits in their strollers, holding their parents' hands, clutching their books. And you see those beautiful, bright books, and you see these little spots of color going back all over the city, into their homes, into their bedrooms, into their lives, making the map of the city and the map of the country that much brighter and that much richer. We say in pediatrics that it's a great honor to be trusted with the care of people's children and allowed to take part in so many family stories. So here in the Library of Congress, where the book and the written word are honored, I want to thank you for recognizing the work of Reach Out and Read, and to say that it is a great, great privilege to be able to put books in the hands of children and help parents understand how powerful those books can be in shaping their brains and shaping their lives. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.